Where we need to actually kind of kick off everything with this section is to start by talking about some terminology we're going to use and some perspective. Now, I know the pictures are going to be a little hard to sketch at first. You'll get better as you practice it, and I'll try to both use pre-done images and hand draw them as we go so you can kind of see the process to get to a three-dimensional sketch. If you're having a really hard time with the 3D sketching, you can fall back on a couple of options. One being is to draw it in 2 dimensions and then make a note that it has some depth to it, or to draw it from a couple of different perspectives. Do a top perspective, a front perspective, and a side. That might help a little bit. When we look at this, some language we're going to use. First of all, a prism is a 3D object which can also be seen as a stack of polygons. So for example, this rectangular prism is a stack of rectangles. If I look down here at the base, I can kind of see there's a rectangle here, and on top of that sits another rectangle, and on top of that sits another rectangle, and I can stack these rectangles up. So to get the title prism, it has to fit in that category of a stackable series of polygons. Now the polygon can be anything you want. We can have triangular prisms, which are stacks of triangles. We can have trapezoidal prisms, stacks of trapezoids, pentagonal prisms, hexagonal prisms, octagonal prisms, etc., 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 etc. So there's a lot of ways we can do that. Now, whatever that shape is that makes up part of the stack, that's the base. So for example, right here along the top, that rectangle is called one of the 2 bases. There's one at the top, and there's one at the bottom. The other one we're going to talk a lot about have to do with these surfaces. So I'm going to shade this side right here. That side there in blue. That is one of the 4, in this case, lateral surfaces, or lateral face. Okay, that was made of win. Face with an S. I had a week off. When we break these down, one of the reasons we're going to talk a lot about this lateral thing. When we did surface area back in elementary and middle schools, they said think of all the various surfaces, break them down to rectangles, find the areas, add them up. That gets a lot harder as we progress up to more complex prisms. So we kind of take a different strategy. What we're going to do with this particular box, when we go to find the surface area, we're going to talk about the 2 bases. So there's a base and there's a base. And in this case, it's 9 by 7 and 7 by 9. And then we've got what we call the lateral area. Lateral area. And that's the one made up of the 4 lateral faces. So kind of clean that up a little bit there. And so each of these are going to be, let's see here, 9 by 14, 7 by 14, 9 by 14, 7 by 14. All prisms can be broken down into these 3 basic components. The bottom base, the top base, and then the lateral area, which is made up of the lateral faces going around.
Wait, I'm confused about the lateral face thing.
Okay.
Like, I don't get those 4 boxes that you put together.
Right.
Where does that come from?
That are this lateral area, this ribbon. That would be, if I've got my box. So, okay, so there's a box. There's a top, there's a bottom, and then there's this part that goes around it that I can lay out flat, made up of 4 rectangles. And that's what I've got going on here. Now the thing about that is right now that was a rectangular prism I kind of made up. Quick on the fly. If I want to make a pentagonal prism, I gotta fold it into 5 sides so that the top is now a pentagon. Yeah, there we go. And I still have one lateral area that goes all the way around. That's all of those 5 surfaces. And that's what we're going to be kind of looking at when we do surface area problems. Now, as far as language goes, there's a couple other things to talk about. When we talk about the altitude, we'll also use the term height. I think that's IE. It's the altitude or the height. It's a Monday. There are only 9 more after this. 9 more Mondays, and school's over. Oh, come on. Don't tell me you guys aren't counting down. The altitude is always at a right angle to the base. So for the rectangular prism, that's easy. That's the one side. We can make this more complicated by looking at a different kind of prism. All right, so let's shift to this picture. It's a prism again, right? It's a stack of polygons or shapes. So this time, the challenge is that the things that are stacked are not squares or triangles, they're half circles. So if I kind of add those onto my sketch, it's a little easier to see. Now I've got this stack of half circles that make up the figure. And so in this case, the height is actually this distance. That 8 feet there along the base of the tent. It's supposed to be a dome tent. So my prism kind of fell over, but I can still see that stack of half circles that make it up. And in this case, also the lateral area, if I break this into pieces, my bases, there's a half circle on the one side, a half circle on the other side, and then my lateral area is 2 pieces. The part that wraps over the top, and then the actual bottom part. The base of the tent, and that half curve that goes over along the top of it. So this will be my base, and this is the lateral area. How are we doing with the vocab so far? Okay, perspective-wise, about this one. What if I make a stack of circles? What am I looking at there? Cylinder. It's just a stack of circles, right? Or a stack of quarters. That fits the qualities of a prism. And again, my height at a right angle to that base. The last kind of vocab to throw at you guys, to get out in this mix of things to talk about, get a blank screen. Let's see if I remember how to pull one up quickly. Is it Control B? No. All right. Well, I'll find a place to work. Let's do it right here. What if I do this? So there's the front, and then we'll, there we go. Okay, so I draw some of these by hand so you can kind of see the process behind it. So there's a parallelogram on the front, parallelogram on the back, rectangles on the sides, and the top and bottom are still rectangles themselves. In this case, there's my altitude or height. It's at a right angle to the actual base. So here's the base. It works the same way as everything else we've talked about. The only difference is it's all kind of kicked over sideways a little bit. It's off kilter. And the vocabulary term that goes with this is the term oblique. That means at an angle. You want to approach something in conversation from an oblique direction rather than opening by saying, hey, let's make some plans for Memorial Day weekend. You say, you know, I was thinking about upcoming vacation time, what we could do with it. Did you have any ideas? And you kind of not directly bring up the topic, but you come at it from an angle. Same concept here. But that still fits all the qualities of a prism. The difference is that the altitude is not one of the sides. It's not a lateral edge. It's kind of out there in space.
Wait, you said oblique means diagonal?
Yeah, diagonal or at an angle. So an oblique prism is a prism that's been kind of kicked off onto the side. It's also a military term for a form of marching where you don't walk at the other guys. So there's your block of men, that's forward. And to march on the oblique is to march that way. But you still face forward. Actually, a lot harder than it looks. So, okay, finish out the sketch. So that's where you would be if you walked forward, but instead you slid over sideways.